Hi everybody, and welcome along to this video where I intend to show you some different ways to get some interesting backgrounds for, well, I'm doing it for art journals, but I'm sure there's things you can take away for junk journals and other things. But we're just doing the backgrounds. We're not going to finish the pieces. That will come later. So this is mixed media paper. It was A4, I've cut it in half and I've gessoed it all. So we're ready to rock. So let's bring in the Splat box, because the first thing that I want to do is to use the Dina Wakley gloss sprays. It's a quick one, but it's so effective. So I've already shaken these up, you'll be glad to know. And I'm taking three colours, these three colours, which is Carnation. Whoops. This one is Mineral, blue one, and this darker green one is Sage. So I'm going to use those, see what we get. So let's just take the lids off before we start, so we can get spraying quite quickly. And I'm just going to put this at an angle, because I always seem to be spraying in the same direction. So I'm going to start with the pink, and then come in with the blue. Let's turn that around. And then some green. I haven't used this green before, so it's quite exciting. And I think I need some pink down here, so let's just, you can see it already. You can look at those gorgeous sort of bubbles it creates. It's amazing. Just going to put a bit of pink down there, maybe down there. And I actually don't think it needs any more than that. I think it's gorgeous. I don't think it needs any more, says she, reaching for the spray bottle. Just a little bit. Just fill up that background. So yeah, there we have it. It's as easy as that, and that's what you get. How gorgeous is that? It's just beautiful. Now Dina Wakley, she says not to dry it with a heat gun, so of course I'm going to not dry it with a heat gun. Of course I am. I'm too impatient, and I want to move on to the next one anyway. So I'm going to dry that off a little bit, and I'll show you what it looks like when we come back, and then we'll move on to the next technique. So that's this one. It's almost dry. I haven't dried it to destruction. Not that you could do, but there's just some thicker bits around the edges, etc. But look at that, isn't it fabulous? What a background to start with. And actually I'm going to be putting all these backgrounds that I do today, and I've also got another one, onto my Buy Me a Coffee site. So you can go over there, you can download these for free. You can buy me a coffee if you so wish, that would be very nice. But they will all be there, possibly not today, but you know, in the next couple of days they'll be there. So that's number one. Excellent. So the next background is another quick background. It's just streaking acrylic paints. So obviously when we use acrylic paints, they dry permanent. So this is a good background if you want to be doing anything on it, really. It will be a non-porous background. So let's put out some paints. I've got this one, which is, it's called Titanium Buff. It's just a kind of off-white colour. I might need more of that, we'll see, but we'll put that out to begin with. And I've got some burnt sienna. No more than that seems to want to come out. And I've got some raw sienna. So it's kind of sticking within a family, but you don't have to. You can do different. It'll be interesting to see if this comes out, because I honestly haven't had this open for so long. Oh yes, look at that. Honestly, these Sennelier pouches, oh, they're brilliant, and they're really not expensive. So I've got myself a little sponge dabber. and it really works well for this. So I'm gonna get my Timmy towel and I'm just gonna put it in the water so it's a little bit damp, and pick up some of these paints, and I'm just gonna blend them on the background. So a bit more of that. And you can go over a few times if you want to, and you don't have to go up and down like I'm going. You can go round and round. You can do anything. It's just to give us a background to start off from. And these sponge dabbers make it so easy. It's ridiculously easy. You feel like you're not actually doing anything, but you do end up with a very nice background. Let's try a bit of that. You can see it sort of blends out when you use this. There's no artistic input, let's say. Very little. Got hair on there. Thanks, Catkin. I think that looks quite nice actually. I like this darker bit here. I might just go in over this with a little bit of cream. So I've got quite a bit there. And there we are. That's it. It's done. It's a really great way of doing things. Drop your pencil straight into water, because otherwise it goes hard so quickly. You'd be amazed how quickly it goes hard. And then you've ruined it, because you can't soften it up again. And they're not expensive. Look at all that paint. Oh my goodness me. And let's just get rid of that while we can. It's easy to get rid of acrylic paint before it dries, because you can get it off your messy mat once it's dried, but it's a bit more involved. So there we are, we've got that. Very nice. Oh, I've just put all the paint away, and I wanted some. Never mind, we'll come back to this one. So that's that background done. You could add anything to there. It's really nice. So I'll get set up for the next background. See you soon. Okay, so as you can see, I've got my little watercolour palettes out. They're Derwent, they're by Derwent, and they're so handy because they're just little, and you don't feel too intimidated by them. So I've given them a spray of just plain water just to waken them up a little bit, and I'm thinking that I'm going to go for yellow and blue, I think. So I've got a watercolour brush, but you could equally use a water pen. And I'm just going to pick up some yellow and just start in at the top. You can always add a bit of water to it if you want to spread it out a bit further, or even add some water to your page and just let it spread like that. And a little bit more. And a bit down at the bottom. I tend to always work in threes. I have explained this to you before, but it's kind of pleasing to the eye. The eye likes to see threes. Don't know why that is, I've no idea. But it does. Right, so clean the yellow out, and then I'm going to go into the blue. And this is quite a bright blue. And I'm going to let them mix, because then we'll get a nice green. And I don't mind a bit of that green, to be honest. It kind of looks, I don't know, it just reminds me of a summer sky. It's just really nice. So let's go in with a bit more water and get these moving around a little bit. Put my brush down. And they will move for you if you pick it up. Just move it gently. They will move and give you a much more interesting background. See these lovely greens appearing now where the blue's running into the yellow. And it will run wherever there's water, it'll run to. If you haven't got any water, it comes to a dead halt, which is strange, but that's the property of watercolor paint. So let's take this brush handle here and move that into there. You can move it around with your brush even more if you want to. Right, so I've got quite a lot down the side, so I'm just going to take a bit of waste and just suck some of that up. So I don't like the way it looks on the sides. Turn that round. There we go. So I just want something in that side now. And that looks fine. I might just take another little bit of quite watery blue and just add it in places just for a bit of interest. Too much interest. Yeah, that's fine. I like that. That's nice. Move it around a bit. Yeah, that's lovely. So I'm going to dry that off as it is, and then we'll come back in and do something on top of that. But it's real Ukraine colours actually, isn't it? I've just noticed. So I'll pause you there and I'll dry it off. I just want to show you this. I actually stopped drying the front, turned it over to dry the back, just to give it a bit of heat from underneath, and then when I turned it back, this is what had happened, which is gorgeous. So that might be something that you might wish to play with. It's fabulous, isn't it? That's gorgeous. So there we are. That was completely unintentional, but wow, it's worked beautifully. So I'm just going to clean this up so we don't end up with more than we wanted, and I'll dry that off. Won't be very long. Okay, so I've got that dried off. Isn't it pretty? It's so lovely. Really, really is. And that's a perfect background to work on too, I would have thought. So, time to move on to the next one, which I'm not really set up for. So the Splat box is out again, and this time we're going to use spray stains and Dilution's ink spray as well. So I've got that's hard to say. Distress Spray Stain in Speckled Egg. Got to be my all-time favourite. I've got Dilution's spray in Desert Sand. I've got good old Distress Spray Stain in Vintage Photo, although these two are slightly overlapping. But we'll see how we get on. I think we'll be alright with that. So I've given them a little bit of a shake. I'm going to take the lids off just so I can act quickly if I need to. That one hasn't got a lid on, so that'll be hard to get off. I'm going to start with the speckled egg. Give it some of that. Just going to give it a bit of water actually, just to help it move. There we go. And I'm going to put some of this desert sand up here. Oh, look at that. That is glorious. Just going to hold this down because otherwise it's... Oh, I love that. And then let's just come in with a bit of vintage photo down here. I really love that. I think we need a bit more of this. Right, so I've got quite a lot of ink on there now. And there isn't anything else to do with it apart from dry it off. If you've got a gap like that that you're particularly keen on, and I'm not keen on that, then just take a brush or anything and just entice that to come in a little bit, and that'll be fine, just to get rid of that big gap that we had there. I like that. I'm going to dry that like it is and then see if we need any more anywhere. Just going to get rid of these big puddles around the outside, which I'm not keen on. Right, I'll dry that off, see you in a sec. Right, I've dried this and I like it, but I think it looks slightly washed out. In fact, it looks very washed out. So what I'm going to do now is come back in. These are all inks that I've used, but I'm going to come back in now with my Distress Oxide spray in Speckled Egg, and that should lie on top of everything. So let's just give that a go. So let's turn that around because I don't want to get into too much of a mess. Yeah, I think that looks better. I don't want it completely speckled egg. I do still want that brown to be coming through, and I think it is. So let's dry that off and see what we've got. You could choose any colours that you've got, you know, depending on what spray stains you've got, really. We've got a bit of a problem with that light again, haven't we? But I'll pick it up and show you in a sec when it's dry. It's sitting nicely on top of everything, so we've got more of that colour, which is gorgeous. And I'll go on, you know, in subsequent videos to show you how I've used these backgrounds, what I've put on top of them, which focal points I've chosen, etc, etc. That's about dry, I would say. Let's have a look at that. Yeah. It's gorgeous, actually. It's really lovely. Yeah. That's a keeper. Excellent. So I'll just go and prep for the next one. Okay, I think I'm sorted. So the next one is a straightforward one. It's just a Distress Oxide blend. I don't know how that didn't get put away. And I have selected tea dye, dried marigold and shabby shutters, because bear in mind, this is the background. You know, this isn't your focal point or anything. This is what you're going to be building on. So you don't want anything that's too dramatic. So I'm going to start with a tea dye. And this has been gessoed, bear in mind. And I'm going to use my blending brushes because I get the best effect with them. I'm just going to come in off the side and start to lay the colour down. You see, it's a it's a pretty colour, is tea dye. It gets swept up in all the browns, I think, and sort of lost a bit in there. But it is a pretty colour in its own right. So I'm going to do my thing again with threes. I'm afraid I can't get past it. It's just easier to work with later on. So because I've got gesso on this, it's going on really smoothly and nicely. If you hadn't gessoed it, if you thought, oh, I don't need to bother gessoing that, this would be digging in, you'd be getting marks from your brush, whereas as it is, it's just sliding over it so nicely. So that's 3 sections of that colour. So let's move into the, what's this one, dried marigold. I'll take my orange brush. I must confess, this is one I haven't used before. I don't know what it's like. But I'm just going to blend it into that tea dye. Just lightly blend it in along the edges. You can always come back with the tea dye and go over it again. But that's looking nice already. I'm wondering if I actually need the shabby shutters. Ooh. That's looking really nice. Let's have a look at the shabby shutters. What's the worst thing that can happen? It looks awful. Yeah, that is the worst thing that could happen. Oh no, it needs that. That's lovely. It's just brought it to life a little bit. Yeah, yeah, that's good. So I've sort of got this central section that I didn't mean to leave but have left. Oh, it's looking really nice. Let's put a bit down here. Blend it up into there and across to there. And then I'll come back with the tea dye, I think, and just tidy up my fingerprints, etc. Which was the tea dye? This one. So it is a nice background paper, without a doubt. You could use that quite readily for backgrounds. I would have thought. I think I'll go in with shabby shutters onto this side here. Shabby Shutters, such a lovely name, isn't it? Sort of conjures up France and Provence. To me, anyway. So, what have we got? That's nice. I don't think you're seeing it perfectly because we've got this light problem again. But yeah, that's nice. Try and bring that out of the light there. There we are. Mr. F's just closing the curtains, which is why I'm pausing. So there you are, that's it. It's a nice background, but it's really begging for something else, to be honest. So what the first thing I'm going to do to it is just splash some water on it. I'm just going to use this brush that I used for my watercolouring. Just add some water, splash it on, splash it all over. Give that a couple of seconds to do what it's got to do. Grab some tissue. Oh, your Timmy towel. My Timmy towels are in a sorry state. They're going in the washer this afternoon because they're just too bad. And drop that onto it and just pick up all that water. And look at that. I mean, it's staggering, isn't it? You get those gorgeous voids. It's brilliant. I love it. Back to the white gesso. Right, back to the white gesso. But I think we do need to put a stencil of some sort on here. So I've got this. It's a really large one. You really never need a stencil this size, to be honest. I don't know why I bought an A4 size. And I'm going to choose one of the colours that I've already used. Maybe the shabby shutters, actually. No, let's go with the dried marigold. And I'm going to go through the stencil just in various places, and you won't, where the dried marigold is, you won't see it necessarily, but where the other colours are will show up. So just a bit there, a little bit down here perhaps, a bit on the bottom, and a little bit here. So there we are. I mean, I hope you can see that. It's really, it's quite lovely. Quite lovely. Where it's gone over itself, the dried marigold, then it's not showing up. Another cat hair. But where it's going over the other colours, the tea dye and the shabby shutters, you can see it really standing out, and that's lovely. That's a really good background to work from, I would have thought. I'm quite excited by that, actually. It's lovely. So I'm just going to give that a quick dry, make sure it's dry before I move it, and then get set up for the next one. So here we are. I think this is the last one. And for this one, I'm going slightly off-piste. I'm doing a collage. So I've got this book, and it's a nice book. It's about quilting and things. A novel about a quilting circle, I think. So I'm not anticipating finding any naughty words in it. Because prior to this, I was using a Kathy Reichs book, and that was, yeah, you had to check each word on that one. So I'm just going to rip out 2 pages. Probably don't need 2 pages. And whilst we were paused, Mr. F has furnished me with a new Timmy towel. Look at that. Yay. Right. So I want to tear this up. I don't want the margin at the top or the bottom, so I'm going to tear that off first. Music paper would do. Napkins would probably do, to be honest, but book page. I think we've all got spare book pages, haven't we? So I'm just going to tear this like so, and then tear them all into smaller, not squares, but that sort of general feel. There we go. Right, now then, I want this to follow a sort of plan, a plan that's in my head. So I want a centre, and then I want it coming up towards the top. Maybe that one needs to go there actually. And then that one, so it's coming up towards the top. It's almost a cruciform really. And this one, thinner piece would be good. I can make thinner pieces. Oh, that's all right though. That can go there. So this is what I'm doing with my collage. I'm making this sort of form. So what we need to do is stick them all down, and for that I'm going to use my matte medium and a brush, which I need to just dry off a little bit. It's a bit manky in that water pot now. You don't have to dry it off completely, particularly with this, it's super sticky. So let's just take these pieces off, put them over there so as I can kind of see what's going on. It doesn't really matter about the particular order you stick them in, to be honest. I'm just going to put some matte medium on there. That was kind of more than I anticipated, but that's okay. Right, so I think this was the centerpiece, so I'm putting that on there. Just using the matte medium I've still got left on my brush, which is loads, incidentally. And then this one. And then this one perhaps. I don't know what the order that I have had them in, and it doesn't matter. And then a thin one towards the bottom. That's grand. That's lovely. I'm just going to put a little bit out from a brush, but I don't need much. Then, like the other side of that with more writing on it. It's going to come out there. And we need a piece for the other side, which could be that one. You don't have to try and make this exactly symmetrical. You really don't. And that can go there. And then the little thinnish bit up at the top. So that's it all stuck down very nicely with our matte medium. So it's all now a non-porous surface because we had the gesso on, which is non-porous, and now we've gone on top of that with the matte medium, which is also non-porous. So this whole thing you can stamp or stencil or whatever you want to do, total impunity. It is non-porous. So just give that a couple of minutes to dry, and then we'll come back and see what I had in mind for it. Okay, so that's dry. It honestly just takes seconds, and I'm just going to go back in with the gesso. And my big mucky brush, and I'm just going to see if I can get that lid back in. Yeah, there we go. So I've just got a little bit of gesso on my brush, not much, and I just want to just kind of dry brush over here really, so you can still see that it's, you know, book pages behind it, but just obscured so it's not so in your face. So a little bit of dry brushing goes a long way. Like that. I think that's fine. I like that. Okay, so once again, we have to wait for this to dry. It's a lot of waiting for things to dry in mixed media, isn't it? That's quite, you know, if you've got a conveyor belt of backgrounds or something that you're doing, it's probably quite good, because otherwise you're waiting forever and a day, it seems like. So I'll see you in a sec. Okay, so I'm back with the Splat box. And I want to do it this way. It'd be easier in the Splat box to do it that way, and then you could see it all. But I actually want to do it this way, so sorry about that. And I'm using Diane Reevely, sorry, Diane Reevely's Dilution Spray. These are wonderful. They are really vibrant and they dry really vibrant. They don't lose any of their vibrancy when you dry them. So I just want to come down here like that, add some water. I didn't really want that bit over there, but we've got it now. And let it run down like that and off the page. Just dry those bits at the end and this way. That's looking nice. I just need a little bit more. Always a little bit more, isn't it, eh? So just put some there and let that run down. Give it some encouragement. And I definitely, hello water, come back. I definitely don't want all this pooling at the bottom. I want to get rid of as much of that as I possibly can because I don't really want that. So I'm just going to pounce up and down a bit and just push that right into the background. And it's not the end of the world. Don't think that. It's not the end of the world. And these things happen. They're bound to happen if you consider the mediums we're using. So now I just want to go across there. Encourage that with a bit of water to run off the page like that. And some more spray on this side. I don't want that there, and I probably don't want much of that there either, really. Let's just dab that up. So we're left with this pretty nice cross shape, really. You can pick it up quite easily, actually, if you add water to it. It comes off quite well. Let's try this one. I've pushed this one in once, so I'm not holding out great hope to get much off here. But look at that. Marvellous. Okay, so come back this way. Thank you. So there we are. I mean, we've got this lovely, lovely cross, and you can see, because it's collaged, it's caught up in the overlaps of the paper, and that's what I really, really wanted. It looks lovely, lovely, lovely. I'm just wondering whether I want a tiny, now's the time to do this, so I want a tiny bit there because it's looking a bit like there's not much colour on it. That's great. Send it back the other way. Yay, lovely. Okay, I'm happy with that, very happy with that. Let's dry that off and then we'll come in with one other colour. But I don't want to put the other colour on at the moment because it'll just all meld into one. So I'll see you in a sec. Okay, so that's dried and I'm really, really happy with that. It's just so beautiful. And these Diane Reevely, sprays, they're gorgeous. They really are. Now I'm going to go in with another colour, and this is a Distress Spray Stain. It's in one of my favourites. It's called Rusty Hinge. I love it. And I don't want it everywhere, but we'll see. We'll see where we get it, and we'll live with it. As Tim would say, you get what you get and you don't freak out. So let's just put some here. Yeah, that's lovely. A little bit up there. And we're going to move this with water. Not too much, because I don't want to start the turquoise moving as well. So it's a bit of a tricky one. Yeah, I can see the turquoise is moving, but that's okay. Let's get rid of that big blob at the bottom. Yeah, that's looking fine. Now I do, in this instance, want some of this colour outside the turquoise. Just a little bit though. Yeah, that's okay. That's fine. Just squirt it that way with a bit of water. Same here. Oh, that's perfect. That's lovely. So let's deal with these two first. Oh, it's mixing up with the turquoise, but it's still really lovely. So we're just kind of building up this centre a bit. And that's probably okay. I've got my brush, so I can move things around. Although you don't necessarily want it to look like brush marks. But that's fine. It's a nice one to play with, and you can see how the edges of the papers are really standing out. Yeah, we've gone into some sort of dark green here, but it's lovely actually. It's really lovely, the mixture of the two. Oh, this is an exciting background. I feel excited and I want to play with it now. Right, happy with that. Because my paper's not exactly flat, this is kind of going everywhere. So I'm just going to retard that by mopping up some of the water. So it's a good bit drier now. So let's add some of this. Yeah. I am going to have to add, unless it's going to run. Are you going to run? Yeah, it's going to run. Excellent. Excellent. Keep running, keep running. Keep tilting your paper till it goes where you really want it to go. I think it's all that I had hoped for. Let's just darken those bits up a little bit. Yeah, that's fine. Right, I'm going to dry that like that because that's really how I want it. Especially moving it some more. I am moving it because I just want that to come down to there. And when it's all dry, I might come in with a rusty hinge here and here. But as it is, as it stands, that's just gorgeous. I love it. So join me in a sec. Okay, so that's it. Pretty dry. It might be a little bit down here that's not quite dry, but look at that for a background. How inspiring is that? I want to go on now and play with this. It's just so beautiful. All sorts of things are coming into my head, and I will, as I say, as the weeks go by, use each one as a background and show you what I've done with it. But in the interim, they will be available on the Buy Me a Coffee set, and they will be free to download, as you know, that's kind of our ethos. We don't want to exclude anyone. I mean, if you're able to and you want to buy me a coffee, that's great, but you don't have to. There's absolutely no obligation. So I'm just going to go in once more. I'm just going to turn this around. And I just want a little bit of rust there and a little bit there. Yeah, that looks good to me. That one maybe needs a little bit of water, but not much. Yeah, there we go. Look at it. Oh, it's so lovely. You wouldn't think you could get quite so excited, would you? But you know, you do. So that's running down here, which is lovely. It's not picking up any turquoise or anything, it's really just that rusty colour. Just fab. Right, I think I'm all but finished. Yeah, okay, there we go. Right, so I'm going to dry that off, and then at the end I'll show you all of the backgrounds that we've done today and see what you think of them. So I'll see you in a sec. So let's have a look what we've achieved today. Bearing in mind this is mixed media paper and I've gessoed it. Okay, so if you're wanting to sort of emulate something, could be the same medium but different colours or whatever, it's mixed media paper. You could use watercolor paper as well, but make sure that you gesso it. Look at my hands, oh my goodness. So this was the first one that we did, and we used the spray glosses, and you just spray them and it does this. It does this all by itself. So select 2 or 3 colours that you want to use, spray them on and just leave it, and that's what happens. It's phenomenal. It's a fabulous background. This was the next one that we did. Let's put that out of the sight. And that was using spray stains and oxide sprays. And that's what I got, which I think is fabulous. It's a great background. Great background to work up from, definitely. I could go over it again actually and put more splashes of water on to give it more. You could do anything. You could stencil on it, absolutely anything. That's the idea of a background being a background. That's what you want, something to work over. This one was the two or three acrylic paints that we used to give this sort of streaky background. Perfect background. Choose the colours that you think you want on your piece and use that. But you know, that's crying out to be stamped on, to be stenciled on. It's just a good working background. This one was the watercolour with the added effects that I hadn't intended, but it's turned out really nicely. I used yellow and blue. Maybe Ukraine's in my mind, I'm not sure, but of course the yellow and blue, when they're mixed together, you get this lovely green, and it's dried really quite vibrant, and that's because I used the Derwent's watercolours, which are actually inks, so you get a nice vibrancy to them. Ordinary watercolours, you lose a lot of the vibrancy when you dry it, so just beware of that. Then this was the blended Distress Oxides, really nice. Splattered it with water, added a little bit of stenciling, but there's still a long way to go on that background. But it's a good usable background, that one. And of course you can use any colours that you want to. Any that you think you can build up your focal point onto. And then this one, which has got to be my favourite. Oh, look at that. It's gorgeous. I absolutely love it. It's got so much potential, so many things that I want to do with that. But I walked you through it step by step so you know what's going on, and you can recreate this should you wish to. And I think I want to recreate it in different colours as well. But anyway, that's that. It was a collage. And you can see where all the pieces of paper have overlapped. You've got this sort of, it caught the pigment. Looks lovely. I like that one. So there we have it. As I said, they will be available within the next couple of days on my Buy Me a Coffee site. They're free to anyone who wants them. And I'd love to see what you do with them. In the next few weeks, however, I will be taking all of the backgrounds and building up a page from them so you can see what I've decided to do with them. So there you have it. Thanks for joining me. I know it's been a bit sort of do this pause, do that pause, but there's a lot of that in mixed media. There just is. So you've kind of got to accept that, really. So I shall see you very soon, and don't forget to be kind, and I'll see you soon. Bye.